A samurai never waited to feel ready. He simply acted because hesitation was death. And yet, today, we wait. We wait for motivation, for the right moment, for a mythical spark before we move. But here's the truth no one tells you. The difference between a samurai and the modern man isn't discipline, it's momentum. Laziness isn't your enemy. Waiting is what's holding you back every single day. By the end of this video, you'll know how to act without waiting for motivation, and how ancient samurai rituals can help you beat procrastination, find rhythm, and stay consistent, even on your worst days. You'll learn how to apply the same principles that shaped warriors' principles, now backed by neuroscience, to transform hesitation into daily progress. Because true power isn't about perfection. It's about launching your plans, moving into action even when you don't feel ready yet. A young samurai once stood before his sensei, sword in hand, full of doubt. "Master, I cannot fight. My technique is not good enough yet." The old warrior smiled and handed him a rough, crooked stick. "Cut it." The student hesitated. "But it's uneven, master." "Cut," said the sensei. The blade sliced clean. Perfection waits forever. Action cuts through. The sword that waits for perfect conditions never leaves its sheath. And today, you'll learn to unsheath yours. Chapter 1. The modern warrior's struggle. He calls it laziness, but what he really feels is overwhelm. The mountain of unfinished goals, the notifications, the noise, it all feels impossible to start. Maybe that's you right now? Not lazy, just buried. In Japan, what we call laziness is often seen less as a moral flaw and more as a signal. A signal that the task is too big, the path is unclear, or your energy is mismanaged. The samurai taught, when the mind feels scattered, return to the smallest task and complete it perfectly. Modern psychology calls this the activation principle. The hardest part of any habit is simply starting. Once motion begins, emotions follow. Start with something so small it's impossible to resist. That's why samurai training always began with a ritual: cleaning the blade, folding the cloth. One simple, repeatable act, not for speed, but for certainty. You don't overcome laziness by doing more. You overcome it by beginning smaller. Chapter 2. The 2-minute rule, the blade at rest. The samurai didn't procrastinate because his rituals made action automatic. Modern science mirrors this through the 2-minute rule. Whatever your goal is, working out, writing, studying, start with only 2 minutes. Just begin. Once your hand moves, momentum takes over. Dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, doesn't come after finishing. It starts as soon as you start acting. For years, people thought dopamine only showed up at the finish line after the achievement. But modern neuroscience paints a different picture. Your brain begins releasing dopamine as soon as you move toward a meaningful goal. In simple terms, effort itself is rewarded. Starting, not finishing, flips the internal switch that makes you feel more motivated. This means you don't wait for motivation to take action. You take action to generate motivation. And this is the simple secret of success. Like drawing a blade, energy ignites as motion begins. So every time you choose the 2-minute version of your habit, you're smuggling effort into your brain's reward system. The sword is not forged in comfort, but in the heat of repetition. And in the next moment, you'll see how the samurai used this to build unshakable consistency. Chapter 3. Consistency over intensity. Motivation burns fast. Discipline burns long. The samurai didn't train once in a while. He practiced the same strike thousands of times, not for perfection, but for presence. Psychology calls this habit stacking. Attach a small, repeatable action to something you already do. When you link repeated triggers into your day, your body starts acting before your brain can object. In Japan, this path of quiet repetition has a name: Kaizen, the art of continuous small improvement. Samurai lived Kaizen long before it became a business buzzword. They didn't try to become disciplined in 1 week. They sharpened discipline the way water shapes stone, drop by drop, day after day. Bushido, the samurai code, wasn't a motivational slogan. It was a daily contract. Wake up, remember your principles, act in alignment, reflect at night, correct tomorrow. Modern psychology says the same thing in different words. What you repeat, you become. Your thoughts become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your character. So when you just sit down for 2 minutes to work, or just clean your desk before opening your laptop, you're not doing something small. You're casting a vote for the kind of warrior you are becoming. Consistency, not intensity, rewires your mind. Every morning routine, every small step, invisible at first, is like the roots of bamboo growing underground before rising explosively to the sky. Success doesn't happen suddenly. It becomes visible when the unseen foundation is ready. In a moment, we'll uncover the single samurai ritual that rewired warriors for unwavering focus, and how you can use it today. Chapter 4. The Ritual of Presence. The samurai called it rei, ritualized respect. Before each battle, before each meal, before each practice, they bowed. This wasn't superstition, it was focus training. A neural anchor that told the brain, now we begin. Neuroscience confirms this ancient wisdom. Rituals lower mental resistance and activate the prefrontal cortex, the center of focus and self-control. Build your own rei. Brew your coffee deliberately. Clear your desk before starting. Take 1 deep breath before you type. Ritual turns random effort into sacred consistency. When everything feels too big, don't fight the whole battle. Return to one simple ritual. Let the act be your anchor. Chapter 5. The Inner Duel. Stillness was the samurai's greatest weapon, because even in stillness, he was acting, shaping his mind. Today's battle isn't against a rival. It's against distraction, doubt, and delay. Every time you act even imperfectly, you're cutting through resistance. The samurai understood. A dull blade is sharpened only by friction. So is your will. Don't aim to win once. Aim to return daily. That is how warriors and creators rise. Imagine a year from now, nothing huge, no overnight change, but thousands of small, invisible victories stacked quietly behind you. That's how a samurai becomes unstoppable. Not through bursts of fire, but steady embers that never die. You began this video wondering how to overcome laziness. But now you know, it was never laziness. It was resistance waiting for structure. Start small, move daily. Respect your rituals. Consistency is your true armor. The samurai said, "A man who has conquered himself fears no battle." 1 year from now, you won't remember every task you did, every study session, every workout, every tiny 2-minute effort. But your life will remember. Your body will move differently. Your mind will argue less. Your actions will feel more natural. That's what happens when resistance finally meets rhythm. That is how a samurai lives in the modern world. Not by chasing motivation, but by honoring simple commitments, repeated quietly in the dark when no one is watching. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Draw your sword today.